In an unidentified city of steady downpour and metropolitan rot, criminal investigator William Somerset, Morgan Freeman, is planning to resign and leave the detestations of the city. Before he resigns, he is banded together with criminal investigator David Plants, Brad Pitt, a presumptuous, youthful and irascible cop from Springfield, a nearly modest community. He and Somerset meet at the location of a manslaughter Somerset is researching. Somerset offers to take Plants out for a beverage so they can talk and get to know one another. However, Factories is excessively anxious to get right to work and is disinterested with Somerset's endeavor to guide him. The two explore the homicide of a gargantuan man, Bounce Mac, who was taking care of spaghetti until a kick to his stomach burst him open. Somerset explores the homicide while Factories is given the homicide instance of conspicuous safeguard lawyer Eli Gould, quality Borkin, with veracity written in Gould's blood on the floor. Gould had to cut a pound of tissue off of his body, and hence drained to death. The police commander gives Somerset a proof holder with 3 fragments of a plastic-like material found in the stomach of the stout man, which he had to consume alongside the spaghetti. Going to the casualty's home, Somerset finds 70 marks before the cooler and finds that the plastic-like bits fit into them impeccably. Realizing the bits came about because of the cooler being moved, Somerset looks behind it. He finds the word veracity composed behind the cooler in oil, alongside a note containing a statement from Milton's Heaven Lost. Somerset hypothesizes that a chronic executioner is putting together his violations with respect to the 7 dangerous sins, with 5 more to go. To allow Factories and Somerset an opportunity to coexist with one another, Plants' significant other, Tracy Plants, Gwyneth Paltrow, welcomes Somerset over for supper. While they are eating, a raised train passes by on the track close by, making the structure and every one of its items and occupants shake. The couple notice that is the reason the real estate professional was so apprehensive, so that them might be able to see the loft rapidly, attempting to conceal the nearness of the train. After Tracy hits the hay, Factories and Somerset look at case proof from the 2 scenes. They find an image of Gould's better half with blood painted around the eyes. Accepting that this implies she should recognize something about the homicide scene that no other person would, the analysts have a distressed Mrs. Gould, Julia Rassog, take a gander at the photos in a protected house, and she sees a theoretical canvas that is topsy-turvy. Brushing powder on the wall behind the composition, Somerset finds fingerprints framing the words "Help me." Subsequent to running the fingerprints through a FEES, the prints are followed a day after the fact to a pedophile named Victor, Michael Reed Mackay, who got away from conviction for the assault of a minor because of the endeavors of his legal counselor, Eli Gould, the eagerness casualty. Smack and the analysts strike his condo and view Victor as the sloth casualty, having been bound to his bed for 1 year to the day, as confirmed by pictures at the scene, one required consistently from the day he is found. Amazingly, he is as yet alive yet experiencing serious physical and mental decay. His hand was cut off and pushed onto the wall behind the canvas to leave the prints. Plants and Somerset request to question Victor in the clinic, however the specialist says that he's bitten off his tongue and that his mind is mush from the experience. That night, Tracy considers Somerset and solicitations that he meet with her. The following morning, Somerset meets Tracy in a coffee shop where she lets him know how hopeless she is in the city. At Somerset's encouraging, Tracy uncovers the reality of her solicitation to meet. She is pregnant, scared of bringing up a youngster where they presently live and terrified of telling David. Somerset encourages her to tell her better half provided that she chooses to have it, and he sets himself for instance. He demanded his accomplice have an early termination, that he at long last persuaded her, and presently he is sorry. Soon thereafter, involving a contact in the FBI, Somerset gets a library rundown of individuals who have acquired books connected with the 7 lethal sins. The rundown drives the criminal investigators to a man named John Doe, whose condo they visit before long. Doe, his face stowed away, sees them as he returns home, takes out a firearm and starts firing. After a short pursuit, Doe hits Plants with a tire iron, keeps him quelled at gunpoint, yet allows him to live and out of nowhere escapes. Plants needs to drive their direction into Doe's loft, accepting that they have reasonable justification since Doe took shots at them. Somerset attempts to talk him down, saying the technique they used to find Doe's condo was unlawful and that Doe would go free assuming they got him. In any case, Factories kicks the entryway in. While they search the condo, in the wake of paying off an occupant to guarantee she had called the investigators about Doe, they find journals of his viewpoints, prizes of the wrongdoings and an image of Plants warding off Doe, who, at that point, was acting like a press photographic artist. John Doe calls the condo and praises the investigators on them tracking down him and apologizes for hitting factories, likewise telling the youthful analyst that he respects him significantly. According to their activities, he have made him change his arrangements, and he hangs up. They likewise track down a photograph of a young lady, a whore, feline Muller, who they accept might be the following casualty. A receipt drives them to a S&M cowhide shop where Doe submitted a request for a sexual gadget. The young lady is before long found dead in a room with desire composed on the entryway. Likewise found in the room is a noticeably shaken man, Leland Orser, constrained by Doe at gunpoint to wear and utilize the gadget, a huge lash-on dildo with a cutting-edge connection, to assault and kill the young lady. The proprietor of the spot, Wild Billy, Martin Quiet, can provide no insight into the actual perspective or the satchel John Doe utilized, as each client used to convey unique garments or gear into the spot. The following morning, a model, Heidi Shantz, is found dead with satisfaction composed on the crime location. Her nose has been cut off, to demonstrate hatred for her face, whereupon Doe gave her the decision of self-destruction by dosing pills or calling for help and residing scarred. She picked the previous, and gulped the pills. As the investigators return to the police central command, John Doe approaches them, his hands dying. He shaved the skin from his fingertips to keep away from recognizable proof, and surrenders himself. He converses with his legal advisor and concurs that on the off chance that he can take Somerset and plants to 2 additional bodies, he will admit to every one of the killings. Doe's legal counselor likewise cautions that in the event that Somerset and factories disagree, Doe will argue craziness and the last 2 casualties might very well never be found. Needing an admission, the criminal investigators concur. Somerset and factories both have receivers taped to their chests so the remainder of the team can screen their discussion with Doe. During the prep, factories attempts to enlighten Somerset regarding a worry he has with Tracy, yet can't force himself to discuss it. As the 3 travel to the desert edges of the city in a vehicle, they are followed by a police helicopter for security, flown by John Santon and James Death. Doe makes sense of his reasoning behind the homicides as an approach to showing individuals the really detestable nature of the world, as well as his longing to rebuff the insidious. He proceeds to say he will be recalled and respected for what he has done, having been picked to do as such. As Doe talks, the nauseated Plants is headed to fury, and shouts at Doe while Somerset resists the urge to panic, yet entirely clearly stressed. When they arrive at the edges, Doe guides them to a particular spot close to some power link towers. The criminal investigators walk Doe out to an open spot. After a couple of seconds, a van shows up and Somerset stops at a few hundred yards away, abandoning factories to cover Doe. The driver, Richmond Arquette, claims somebody paid him $500 to convey a case to factories at this spot at precisely 7 o'clock. As Somerset opens the crate, he draws back with sickening apprehension from what he sees inside. As he races back to factories and frantically hollers for him to discard his weapon, Doe states to Plants that he appreciates Plants' life, with the end result of being desirous of his better half and the adoration they share. He goes further, saying he visited Factory's home and that he attempted to play spouse with Tracy that day yet it didn't end up actually working and he took a trinket all things considered, her beautiful head. It was Doe's arrangement that Plants will kill him, as Doe himself was at fault for jealousy, envious of Factory's less difficult life. He additionally uncovers to Factories that Tracy was pregnant, and that she has to be kept alive for the well-being of the kid. Factories, notwithstanding the arguing of Somerset, is so crushed by his better half's passing and the information that she was pregnant, that he shoots Doe in the head, Doe shutting his eyes to accept his discipline. Factories shoots Doe's body 5 additional times. In killing Doe in retaliation, Factories comes to typify the wrongdoing of rage, finishing Doe's work of art. Somerset can hold on, vulnerable to do anything. After a mental Factories is removed, their chief lets Somerset know that they'll deal with Plants, realizing the jury will denounce him. Somerset replies, anything that he wants. He additionally lets his commander know that he will be around, inferring that he will remain on the power. As the camera works out from the desert, the film closes with Somerset citing Ernest Hemingway, "The world is a fine spot, and worth battling for." I concur with the subsequent part.